Welcome, Chris Evans Radio. We are back with little Dave. I was about to go on like the pretty hardcore rant to him and I was like, fuck it, I'm hitting record.
Yeah, we're going live.
Yes. All right. Quick backstory to catch everyone in the audience up. I made an Instagram post that was literally just poking fun of people who still believe that peanut butter is a protein source. And I want to start by saying I realize that there is protein on the nutritional label at 5 grams per 16 ounces. Or 16, sorry, 5 grams of protein per 16 grams of peanut butter. I fully realize that. I realize that that's factored into the calorie count of peanut butter, but I will never view peanuts or peanut butter, almond butter, cashew butter, fill in the blank, as a protein source. Okay. Now, I made that comment because to me, it's quite obvious that if I want protein, I need to eat animal muscle, meaning chicken, turkey, beef, fish, eggs, and then you could argue like whey isolate would be another great option, all for proteins. Or if I'm looking, if my doctor or my coach or just personally, I thought, man, you know what, Dave, I really need to increase my protein intake or protein consumption. That's going to be where I go to get it. In this
It used to
world,
have a mom and a dad. It's probably a great source.
yes. Now, in this weird fucking twisted, if it fits your macros, retatrutide increasing needing more protein, people look at things that have protein in it, such as rice, peanuts or nuts, um, oatmeal, all have protein in it. I'm not denying that. Because at the end of the day, like the only fats that don't have another nutrient in it is going to be your oils, right? Coconut oil, extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil. All of those are going to be just straight fat, right? But I'm not going to get a complete protein from a nut. And people don't understand that. I'm also, in my mind and opinion, if I want to increase protein, I don't do it in the form of nuts. Now, what I continue to tell these idiots online, and I think when I looked last, it's like just over 50,000 views and has a crazy amount of comments where either you're on one side where you know that peanuts and peanut butter aren't a protein source, and you have other people who are fighting that it is a protein source. And
Well,
then,
it's really funny too. Like the ever since like that push for more protein in everybody's diet,
Mhm.
like the things that are coming out of the woodwork. Like I was at the grocery store, I think 2 days ago,
Uh-huh.
and they have this whole display of protein ramen, and I was like, "What'd they throw in here?" And the first ingredient is wheat gluten.
Right,
So like they actually added gluten to it. So not it's not gluten free. They added
right.
gluten to it because gluten is the protein found in wheat. What people are, that's why they're allergic to it, right?
Yes,
The people who are gluten intolerant cannot break down that protein.
right.
But they decided to throw in a whole bunch of wheat protein to make it protein ramen. And that's like this the same concept. It was hilarious because it was like there's each pack was like this has 32 grams of protein in it, and you look at it and it's fucking ramen with with extra gluten in it, and it's just like, in what world do we live in where that's good? Like, you
Yes.
want to? Do you want to fuck up your stomach immediately? Like, even if you can tolerate gluten, like
Right.
that,
Yes.
like
Yep.
gluten, it's the shit in the bread what makes it fucking dense. So
Yes.
it's not gonna want to digest.
Right. Yep. So the common comment that I'm getting that I think at the end of the day, like if you want to make me crash out, is listen to this. They said, well, to make peanuts or peanut butter a complete protein, pair it with wheat bread. Okay, let me get this straight. You're gonna take a fat source and a carb source, and that you're gonna make it into a protein? Fuck off.
Yeah, it's it technically, but the I think the best thing when it comes down to like that common sense is
Yeah.
the direction you want to go. I mean, technicalities, right?
Yes.
Pasta and fucking tomato sauce is a complete protein,
Right. Yes.
right? You don't see that many jacked Italians
Right.
for
Yep.
that reason.
Yes.
Like they probably, I'm not saying anything against pasta and sauce, but like
Right.
you don't find athletic humans who eat a low protein diet,
Correct. Yes.
period.
Yeah.
You know, go look at pretty much any Olympic athlete. All of them have a pretty high protein intake.
Yes.
And you can just do common sense from there and then take the population who eats no protein and take out what their body composition looks like. I'm
Right.
not saying they can't be healthy,
Yes.
but generally they're not going to be as muscular or as, hard as an individual.
Imagine, and here's what I always say to these people that again, when on paper they're correct. But let's say and this is a stretch for them, a 200-pound individual. And let's just say we're going to have 1 gram of protein per pound of weight. How much peanut butter and bread would you have to eat to get 200 grams of protein? Like, good luck maintaining a respectable composition doing that.
Mhm.
I don't care who you are. I don't care if you run miles a day. Good fucking luck.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, a fucking Oreo cookie has like 3 grams of protein.
so see, that was my argument. This one kid was going bananas. Like, it has protein in it. It's a protein source. And I said, you probably count Oreos as a protein, huh? And he's like, yes, I do, because it has protein in it. I'm like, oh my God. Literally, there's no world where you and I would never get along. Like,
Yeah.
if you think the protein in Oreos are going towards lean muscle tissue gain, I can't even argue. At this point, I am done arguing.
Yeah. Well, it's also funny. Those are the same people who cite the studies where like collagen protein can't build muscle, which honestly is fucking true. But it's like they're on the same. They're like this is don't drink collagen. It's a waste of your macros. But I'm gonna go eat this fucking peanut butter sandwich and hit my protein goals.
Right.
And that's where that disconnect is fucking crazy.
Right. Yeah. Yep. There was one guy who said, man, you're wrong. I got jacked off peanut butter sandwiches and milk. And then I go to his page and his idea of jacked is way different than mine.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so I understand that there's some context to that, but I can tell you this. I fought my entire personal training career into my online coaching career in teaching general population people what I would consider the basics of each macronutrients and the importance of each, and then what are good sources of each macronutrient that they want to aim for each meal, each day, each week, however you want to look at it. And I guess it just hurts my soul that I think, oh man, like I started this 20 years ago and was teaching this, and still to this day, I haven't even put a dent in it for people online on the internet. Like, and I understand, like I even had multiple people come on there and say, my doctor has told me it's a protein source. And like they were just like, they're like, what do you mean it's not? And I'm like, your doctor's an idiot. Like, sorry.
A lot of that it gets just misunderstood. I
Yes.
mean, the end marketed. I mean, it's a
Yes.
food industry. It's why it's there. It's not, the people who make food aren't there to not make money. And that's
Yes.
kind of a fucking scary part, sometimes.
Right.
But they just marketed as such, like anything gets labeled as, well, we all saw this happen with like the low fat craze,
Yes. Yep.
like everything what was low fat got marketed as being awesome for you.
Correct. Yeah.
And now with the protein thing going on, anything with like I've seen fucking bags of chips on the shelf now which say, hey, these have protein in them now.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Because they did before. They just are like, let's tell people there's protein in there because there technically is. But
Yeah.
I mean, you're writing on a technicality.
Yes. Oh yeah. I mean, and I grew up in the bodybuilding world where, and so did you, where low fat was the way. You know,
Yeah.
you smash protein, you smash carbs, or let me take this back. You smash meat and eggs, protein shakes, and then you eat a shitload of carbs, whether it be rice, potatoes, oatmeal, cream of rice, cream of wheat, noodles, doesn't matter. Fruit. Like
Yeah.
that's the world you and I grew up in. The
The
only
guy who got me into bodybuilding never even tracked a fat source in his life because he didn't eat any.
right.
Like his
Yeah.
fat sources was like the his protein was he was like in the off season I'll eat red meat
Right.
and fatty fish,
Yes.
and then in contest prep I'm eating chicken and whitefish.
Right.
And
Yep.
then his carb sources were rice and oatmeal
Right.
and sweet potatoes,
Yes.
like year round.
Yeah.
And he ate those fucking 10 items
Yes.
for his 30-year career,
Hmm.
and it's wild. People think like there's obviously like everybody nowadays needs something special in their plan. Like if I've legitimately seen it on Instagram, like if your coach tells you to eat chicken and rice 3 times a day, fire him because you need more whatever in your diet. You need more, and it's just like people don't like. I can't tell you how many times it's like, oh, if I don't have this super hard expense, like I have to spend 30 minutes making this fucking meal.
Yep.
It's like I can't tell you how many times, like in a real life scenario, like I'm just gonna throw chicken and rice in a bowl and fucking have it because I've got a meeting to go to or I have work to do. I don't
Correct.
have time to sit down and make this protein fucking cake.
Right.
You know,
Yep.
I'm not saying the protein cake is wrong. It's just like, when are you actually having that in your day to day?
Yes. Oh yeah. I'll share this cool little tidbit. When I got into the training world, we my fitness manager was very aggressive on we don't write meal plans for our clients unless you're a dietitian, right? So he's like, you can educate them on nutrition, but in terms of like writing meal plans, we outsourced that to a company who did it, and a very smart individual who used to write all of our meal plans for our clients, right? So one of my really, really good clients, who I helped him lose over 150 pounds, was on this plan. And I asked Billy one day, I said, man, can I look at it? I want to see what you got, right? And this plan was very thoroughly built out, incredible, right? But it was like what I would consider like a cafeteria, like if you're in school lunch menu. So like each breakfast was different every day of the week. Each lunch was different, each snack. And I said to him, I was like, how in the fuck do you prepare all this? And like each month and week was different too. It wasn't like he was like, here are all your Mondays, here are all your Tuesdays. It was like just completely different. Now, I'm not saying meals didn't repeat, but and he's like, it is not easy, man. He's like, it is
Yeah.
super hard. So what him and I did is we sat down and I took his whole plan for the month and he circled his like six
The
favorite
one
meals.
the ones you like, the 6 fucking foods you like.
Yes.
How fucking complicated is that, right?
Yep. And I said, hey, guess what we're gonna do? Those are your 6 meals, bro. And he's like, man, this is gonna make it so much easier. I'm like, yeah, and guess what? You don't have to pay that dude anymore. I'll just modify
Yeah.
and tell you when to pull food back. Like,
Right. And that's all bodybuilding is. It's
Yep.
eat things you fucking enjoy eating, what match your goals,
Yep.
and you can adjust them.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
That's like the funniest thing. Like with those weird new age, like let's say even those things exist, like that protein ramen is totally fine.
Yeah.
How do I adjust that? I've got 32 grams of protein and 60 grams of carbs.
Yeah.
To remove the carbs, I remove the protein as well.
Correct.
So how do I adjust that meal? Make it smaller? Just eat less?
Right.
Well, what my goal is to lean out. I still need the protein. It's like
Right.
that's the reason why bodybuilders do this shit.
Yes.
And it's such a basic thing is, can I adjust the meal plan based on what my goals are? And
Yes.
if you can't do that because like your fucking food is such a mixed food, what you to adjust it is impossible. The
Right.
only way you can adjust it is eat less or eat more of it.
Cool.
But the macros change the same way.
Yep.
Like, oh, if I increase protein, I also increase carbs and fats.
Yep.
Or I increase my carbs, I also increase protein. The other two also increase. Versus like if I have chicken, rice, and olive oil, and I need to add 100, 50 more grams of carbs to that, I just add more rice.
Correct.
The olive oil and the chicken stays the same.
Right. Yep.
You know, and it's easy to adjust. And it's just that also it doesn't take me a fucking a year to figure out how to change that macro.
Right.
You
Yes.
know,
That's why, listen, I think everyone who's been a long-term fan of bodybuilding knows that, Lane Norton has been a huge proponent of if it fits your macros. But anytime you listen to that man talk for more than just like sound bites, he'll say this very simple thing: to get shredded, like truly shredded, we all eat the same foods, the same days, over and over again. And I think he even said the last time I heard him say it, he said we all eat the same 6 foods at the end.
yeah. Well, I
Yep.
think the crazy thing is like when it comes to like I have nothing against if it fits your macros.
Yep.
Like if your life like the things I do have against are three things in that. Not being prepared
Yes.
and
Yep.
using it as your diet plan as an excuse to not be prepared.
Right.
you know, because that always works, right?
Mhm.
Fucking Christ. Second thing is nutrition labels are off by 20%, give or take. They
Right.
can be. So that means if you're 100% on your diet and you eat foods from all packaged sources,
Mhm.
you're either 100% on diet or you're 20% off on any given day.
Right.
And I don't like 80% because that gives me a B grade. And if I'm, you know, doing a prep and I'm getting ready for a bodybuilding show, I really like straight A's,
Right.
right? And
Yes.
I don't want to go into that show with being 80%, you know.
No.
I'd rather give my 100%.
Right.
And that honestly is a huge enough variable where I am not letting that card get played.
Right. Yeah.
And you can see in a lot of physiques who do that because they don't realize what they're operating at 80%.
Yeah. Here's interesting, and I'm sure you feel this anytime you and Melissa go out for dinner, and let's say you do a steak and potato. The menu, man, the amount of times I've ordered an 8 ounce steak at a restaurant, and I'm like, that's not 8 ounces. Like,
Yeah, they always go off raw weight and then like they also bamboozle you. I've been to places where like they give you an 8 ounce steak and they give me something that's like this big, and you're
right.
like, that weighs 3 ounces cooked. Like,
Yeah, right. Or we've all been there with carbs. Like I've been to Outback before and they've given me monstrous potatoes. I mean, that motherfucker was probably 16 ounces. I've also been there when they give me these little baby potatoes and it may have been six. It's like you're going to trust the variance in a potato from someone who probably is getting 10 to $15 an hour to cook your meal. I don't want to put my progress in someone else's hands like that.
yeah,
Um, I know that's maybe nitpicky, but when I'm thinking back to this topic, right? Because I think a lot of people's read that and thought, oh, he's against peanut butter. Because I know those were the comments that were in the section. I'm like, no, I'm not against peanut butter. Like, it can be an adequate fat source, but I'm not counting that to protein, bro. I'm sorry.
yeah.
Like, I'm not going to use that as a protein source in a meal. If I'm adding peanut butter to my cream of rice, bowl of gains, oatmeal, it's because I want fat.
Well, it's the same concept. I mean, why don't we use peanut butter as a carb source?
Right.
No one talks about that.
Right.
I actually think it has more carbs than protein. If I believe the macros for 16 grams is 3 grams of protein, 4 grams of carbs, and 8 grams of fat.
Yeah. I'm at spreadsheet right here.
Or is that backwards? Is it four protein, three
It's
carb, and eight fat?
according to this thing that I do, it's 538 for
Okay.
16 grams. So it's
Okay.
close.
Yeah. So I mean, it's also a carb source. I mean, why am I not drinking that intra workout?
Yeah, you could be.
Have 100 servings for 30 grams of carbs. I'll do that.
You don't want that rock sitting in your stomach all training session. Fuck. Like, I'm gonna put a bow on this because I think we've beaten into the ground. Like, to me, the people who call it protein is just semantics, man. Like,
Yeah.
and they want to argue because they know at the end of the day that I'm right.
Yeah.
And especially if you want to get really scientific, all I've ever for people who've pushed back, I'm like, okay, cool. Do the calories for that. So it's 5 grams of protein times four is 20 calories. Carbs, 3 times 4 is 12. And then fat is going to be 8 times 9, which is 72. So if you just look at the numbers there as far as calories, it's abundantly clear that it's a fat source, right? Because then the argument next is, well, what about whole eggs? Okay, you're right. For 2 eggs, you get 12 grams of protein and 9 grams of fat. That's a mixed protein source. Egg whites, that's a protein only. Like it's pretty fucking simple. You
Mhm.
and I both a lot for the fat in say chicken, fish, or turkey, but you and I both know that's a protein source. It's not like steak or salmon, or whole eggs. It's just not. So yeah, that's it. Like please, if you're listening out there, just use your critical thinking brain. And then I know it's the internet, so people like to argue. So they see like, oh, because then it always turns sideways and the attacks come.
Yeah.
And I always joke that it's always the kids under 200 pounds that are arguing the hardest for peanut butter as protein. I'm like, you haven't learned yet, man. All the big guys aren't counting as protein. The moment you realize you need more meat in your life and you realize how hard it is to eat 6 to 8 ounces of meat, 4 to 5, maybe 6 times a day, You understand why most of the population doesn't have a shitload of muscle. And I will stand by this statement. I need to put it on a shirt. To gain muscle, you have to eat muscle. Sorry. Like, yeah, good luck. All right, so to the main topic for today, outside of the side rant I think we had for 22 minutes. Um, the back training went really well for us last week, and I had multiple people reach out to me and say, "Hey, would you guys do that for the other body parts?" And I'm like, "Sure, we can." So logically, to me, after back is chest and shoulders because that's how I've typically trained them in most of my time since I started working with John. So we'll start here, Dave, with you. The question would be, do you have you always enjoyed pairing chest with shoulders, or do you enjoy them separate? Do you like shoulders with back, or do you prefer them having both separate days?
I definitely don't like shoulders on their own.
Agreed.
I feel like I can go in there and I'm not done,
Mhm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I'll have a fantastic workout, but then I'm just like,
Yeah.
my shoulders are cooked, but I'm not mentally.
Yeah.
And that's usually how that falls. So it's just like, I absolutely love, shoulders, chest, back, chest. I mean, back and shoulders,
Yeah.
having something else with it,
Mhm.
just because it goes really well by itself, like with other things.
Right.
Versus, like, I mean, arms. I hate tacking onto other body parts because it just feels like doing them takes away from the movement.
Yes.
Versus shoulders, I think is the opposite. Doing them with the stuff is like just adds to it.
Agreed. Yes.
Like I've never had I've had great pumps doing like push and like chest and triceps
Mhm.
or chest and biceps or whatever.
Yeah.
But I always feel like it's just like not connected ever.
Yes.
Like
Agreed.
it feels like two different
Mhm. Yeah.
sides of the coin versus like chest and shoulders are in the same fucking group
Yes.
and back and shoulders are also in the same fucking group.
Agreed. Yep.
You know.
I'm 100% the same way. And I think the way I look at it, right, is chest and shoulders, you start like at my sternum and then the pump just builds this way and then around.
Mhm.
And then if I'm thinking about back, and I mean, my training, I like to typically start with lats, progress to my upper back, and then it's like it's logical just to go up to get those delts and then come down to the low back.
Mhm.
So what did I just build with my hands there? V taper. So like logically, it always makes sense. And I'm very much similar with you. When I used to have shoulders on their own day, I'd always put shit with it. It would be like shoulders, traps, calves, and abs. And I'm like, what hodgepodge of shit is that? Like it doesn't, and when I look back and reflective on my early training, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And
Mhm.
I'm with you. I also had periods of my life where I paired shoulders with arms or shoulders with biceps or triceps. And I always felt like stabilizing weight after I've exhausted my shoulders. Like, as hard as I want to just pull with my biceps on a curl, if my shoulders are fucked up, my front delt's going to burn no matter what.
Mhm.
It just is.
Yeah, it's really hard to keep your shoulder out of it when,
Correct.
especially, I mean, like to a degree, like even like tricep push downs, making
Yes.
sure this isn't happening,
Yeah. Yep.
keeping this locked back this way so
Yes.
I'm not rolling this forward when I press.
Yes.
If my, delt's just fucking cooked,
Yeah.
this happens more. And then you're just like, all the rotator muscles in your body are working way before your tricep.
Yes. What I also like about pairing shoulders after chest or back is I need no shoulder warm up. Like you can go right into working.
Yeah.
Because if you did a shitload of presses and a couple flies or one fly, or you did a bunch of rowing and pull downs, man, you don't need to warm up those delts. Just get right to rear and side laterals and call it a damn day. Like,
Yeah.
so like you said, it's very much of a good complement to either of those. And since we're on shoulders, let's go ahead and start there. This is funny. This is where you and I are different. I actually like having a shoulder press in your training, where I'm
Mhm.
the opposite. I don't do shoulder pressing. I did for years, but I don't now. Um, do you program one or two shoulder press for your clients across their week, or have you found people too who are like me, where you don't put any pressing in there?
There's some who I don't, and then there's a lot who I will.
Okay. Yep.
A lot of it has to do with like when it comes to being able to like press through
Yeah. Yep.
that lat.
Yes. Yeah.
Because so many people are, they shoulder press and they can't keep their elbow in front of their body
Yeah.
and they just do it all the way. back here because
Mhm.
they and then they just basically only work this area,
Yep.
and then they always get fucking injured.
Yep.
And then it's just like you're never gonna grow if you're injured. So it's just like the learning that like
Yes.
that push
Yep. I think my
is
shitty shoulder mobility saved me there because
yeah.
I don't think if I can get in the position you were in. Like it feels great to press like that for me, but then again, you've seen me dumbbell press. Even with dumbbells, I don't like being here. Like it feels
Yeah,
natural to be more tucked, like you said, in on that lat, like rubbing my triceps against it, because that's that's where I've always felt powerful. And I know
yeah,
that's the same way with you. So you know, I've even seen guys on chest pressing do that where they start getting their elbows like, oh, I don't even know if I can actually replicate like on a Smith machine or a barbell, like, or even like hammer strength, where instead of like here, they get to like right here and then things start going this way.
mhm,
And that, I mean, that's a whole nother topic of managing your delts within a press. But to get back to the shoulder stuff, I'm not actually opposed for the vast majority of people doing presses, even though I may present some of that online. The biggest thing there to me is a strong shoulder press always enhances good chest pressing to me. Like
mhm.
it's or a good close grip bench press, JM press, you know, fill in the blank there. Because like you said, learning to maintain weight above your head is a definitely an acquired skill. And if you notice when I said I don't do it anymore, it's trust me, I have over a decade of pressing over what most people would even dream of shoulder pressing in my training history. So anyone who comes to me who's a novice or intermediate has it in there at least once, if not twice a week.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it also depends on like how much we're dealt we're having them do.
Correct. Yeah.
Especially novices.
Yes.
Like I almost just beat the shit out of their delts on purpose,
Uh-huh.
just so they have that happen. Because
Yes.
and with almost all trainers when they first start out, everybody's this way
Yes.
because all
Yep.
they do is chest and shoulder, chest,
And
and
front
then
delt.
they don't, and front delt. So it's like, why the fuck would I get more front delt and chest involvement there?
Yep. I
And
mean,
sometimes it's just a matter of fixing that.
yeah. And I think a lot of people understand that a very well developed front delt you can see in a front relaxed. Like
Yeah.
it adds just like dimension to that delt, right? Because they think, oh, most consider like, oh, side delts are what you see from the front. Oh, hell no. Like you want that huge cannonball look from the front and the front relaxed, man, or a front off like a most muscular, you have to have massively developed rear delts. And for most, it's all trap when they do rear delts and side delts. And that's because they don't know again, back to the shoulder and how to position it, they don't know how to keep their shoulder down while taking weight this way or that way. So that shoulders for me, out when you subtract pressing, it comes down to can I execute the form properly, and then can I fight pain tolerance once the it starts to burn? Because you and I both know, like when you do either supersets or reps above 15, the number one thing is pain tolerance, right? It because it hurts. Like and I always tell people, I know if individuals come to town and they haven't been following the training principles for shoulders for me, I'll learn really quickly on a reverse pec deck or a side lateral if you've been following. Because you won't bat an eye at 20 or 30 reps on a rear delt exercise. But if you're like, man, Chris, this fucking sucks, I'm like, have you been doing the plan?
Yeah. Like, but I read what you shouldn't do more than 6 reps.
Yes, yes, yes. And I think the problem is like we're so bombarded with the progressive overload right now that I'm not saying it's not effective, by the way. And please don't hear me when I say, oh, you should be lifting the pink dumbbells. But I've lifted for delts roughly the same weight for the last 8 years
Mhm.
because there's only so heavy you can go on side laterals and rear laterals, reverse
We,
pec deck,
we
right?
see it with arms as well. I mean, like
Yeah.
the most of the times if I'm standing and doing like with biceps, like I'm probably not curling more than, a 45.
Right.
I know we know that the best arms in the business were built with basically that.
Yes. Yep.
Like obviously we have videos of Kevin Levrone doing 100-pound dumbbell curls. Like But we have videos of, like Ian Valier still over there curling the 90s with a hammer curl. And there's a time and place for that. But a
Right.
lot of the times, like you look at it and it's just like he's still doing a concentration curl with like a 40,
Right. Yes. Yep.
and it's just the dude is a fucking strong dude. But like at the same time, it's just like for how strong he is, I don't think people realize that. They're like, oh man, he's curling with a 70. They don't realize he benches fucking 5 plates on incline.
Right. Yeah.
Like he's really fucking strong. Like, yeah, sure. I mean, like getting strong is also the point, but like you scale that back, it's like, oh, you don't bench 2 plates on the incline. Why the fuck are you using a 45 or a 70? Like do the fucking math on that.
Yes. Yeah.
You know,
Yep. Yep.
like scale those both together. You know,
Correct. And I think that's where people run into issues with shoulders, right? Is because like Chris, I'm not going to progress if I'm not beating reps or beating weight each week. And I'm like, to me, the magic in delts is how can I connect to them and make that awful. Like that's what always grew my shoulders once I learned how to train them is like, oh, you get on that pain and you just fight it. And when you begin to lose range of motion, you don't sit the weights down, you keep pumping partials.
yeah.
And that little,
Also, I mean, the not fighting the pain is I can't tell you how many times I've asked for training footage on delts
uh,
and they get 10 reps and then they just leave them on their here and they're like, 3 breaths and then a rep and then a rep and then a rep.
yeah,
And it's just like, if you can just keep those off your body and keep
yes,
tension on your shoulders,
yeah,
right? Instead of doing like a Widowmaker set, because your delts don't fucking care about a Widowmaker set
no,
all the time.
no,
But just stop bringing them, let it stop resting at the bottom.
yes,
That's that pain. Like you see it's the same thing as someone doing a leg press and just like doing 5 reps and then leaving it at the top and locking their legs out.
yeah,
That
yeah,
all they are doing is staying away from pain.
yes, yep, yep. And that's what people don't realize with delts, right? Is when you're in the straight armed weights by your side, all you're doing is stretching your your traps. That's not a stretch on the delt because I'd have to come all the way across my body to stretch my delt. So it's like you said, you're literally letting off of the delt completely on a side lateral or a rear lateral if you're just letting the weights dangle by your side. Um, and that's a tough concept to realize. Or what they do is when it gets hard, they start shrugging. And I'm like, oh, don't bring those big muscles into play because we don't need those here.
Yeah.
So, some coaching cues that I will always give people are shoulders down, weight away from the body. Like think about sweeping the floor. Like it's like this. Like that's how it should look. And the biggest takeaway to me is when the weight gets hard, it's like you said, you don't pause it, you don't rest with it. You just keep going in shortened ranges of motion until the delt loses all function. Like that's been my secret. And anyone who's ever trained delts with me learns really quickly why that works.
Mhm.
And I mean, listen, you and I have done chest and shoulders plenty of times. Like my level of pain tolerance acceptance for shoulders is very high. Like just get on it and stay on it. Just
Mhm.
and I'll tell you where I learned that is it's with Milos with those giant sets for shoulders. He taught me that
Mhm.
because the pain there was it was so awful, man. Like it's way worse than anything I've probably ever done. Like your arms wouldn't function, your shoulders burn so bad. And then I thought, okay, cool. Like if I can do that and not understand how to train my shoulders, and then make it feel like that when I do know how, next thing I know, my shoulders just start going this way.
Yeah.
And I think that's why most people like they'll look at URI's delts and like, oh, they're shot up. No, no. We lean into pain and we know we learned how to train them.
Yeah.
So if that's you out there, and when you're doing your side and your laterals, or sometimes even shoulder pressing, if your traps are burning, you have to figure out why and then fix it.
Yeah.
Because if your delts are not on fire, but that is, tell me what's going to grow or what's not going to grow. Like, I think that's how I always thought about it. What helped you with shoulders, like flip that switch to like really get them to turn on?
The honestly just realizing what like what needs to happen.
Okay. Yeah.
A little bit of just like instead of just like just I'm bringing this up, but like you said, bring that out.
Yeah.
That where I'm bringing that out instead
Yeah.
of this, right? Because
Yes.
everybody does a side lateral. Like if your arm was gone, right?
Yeah.
Everybody starts doing their side lateral like they're lifting their hand up to here.
Like an upright row. Yep.
Yeah, and this happens,
Yeah.
versus the I'm bringing my hand away. I'm trying to fucking grab that wall like a pen over there, but with a
Okay.
dumbbell. You know,
Yep. Yep.
and when that clicked, it was like, oh, cool. That's I can stay on that this entire time,
Mhm.
and you know, versus before that, it was like, oh, trap, trap, trap.
Yes. Yeah. A cool coaching cue that I give a lot of my in-person people for years that I did is if they couldn't figure that out, I'd put them inside of a door frame, arms straight, and then you just press your arms against the door frame and hold it for 10 seconds. And I was like, okay, cool, bring your arms in. We count to five and then right back at it for 10. Next thing you know, you start to see that side delt start to just pump and cramp. And I'm like, okay, now you know how we did that, right? How did you gain tension on that delt? Well, I took my hands out and pushed into the door frame. I was like, okay, cool. The shoulder didn't go up or trap didn't elevate, right? Yeah. Okay, cool. Now let's just start to do that with dumbbells. You start to do that bottom half swing that John taught us. Okay, cool. Now you've mastered that. Great. Now let's get into the full range. Now when we get into the full range, what do most people want to do is they want to get here, right? So where that front delt's on top, I need that to where you see on my side delt just goes right on top there, right? And what all I did was take my elbow north to where it's in line with my shoulder, and my wrist is below all of this shit. I made it look really easy. That took years to acquire.
Yeah.
Um, but that's something I've always thought about when I look in the mirror on a delt exercise. Whatever muscle I can see in the mirror on top is the one that's working. So if you think about that and extrapolate it, when I bend down, if that rear delt has to come into play, you can see that bitch on top now.
Hmm.
Real, that's kind of how I've always thought about rear delts, side delts, front delts is even though people will argue it's one same muscle structure, I always treat it as three. And the fourth tier is shoulder pressing, and that's all of them.
Hmm.
um, or combined all three working in harmony. Because when I'm doing a front raise, I'm not thinking about side delt. When I'm doing a side lateral, I'm not thinking about rear. When I'm doing rear, I'm not thinking about front. Like if you begin to separate like that, I promise you'll probably start to see better shoulder progress. In terms
Yeah.
of rep range, I think we've already talked about like if I'm going to have you press 8 to 12, 8 to 15, if we're going to do side and rear, 15 to 30, sometimes 50 or 100, but not all the time.
Yeah. I think another thing for a lot of people to realize, especially now where that's one of the things that drives me up a wall sometimes with the information is, I mean, there's nothing wrong with taking long rest breaks. And I honestly think it depends on the body part a lot.
Right, yeah.
I know without a fact, like shoulders love exercise density. And that's really fancy way of saying less rest breaks,
Right, yeah.
and like the that concept goes out the mind. The amount of times I see people rest for 3 minutes between sets of side laterals, it blows my mind. It's just like,
You're
that was that a leg press set? Like, what the fuck's happening here?
right. Yes.
Like, there's no way that was so fatiguing. You need 3 minutes to do another set.
No, no.
And they wonder why they don't have any pop to their muscle.
Right.
Like, that is like, I just went from like full on fucking science to bro is immediately when I said that,
Yeah.
people like, there's no way to have that's genetics. And it's just like, no, it's how you trade. And
Yeah. You
that's
listen
one
to
of those, it
you
just,
listen to you listen
so
to
much just like there's good information, but like, why are you not fucking around and trying what works?
uh,
Like, yes, longer rest periods may be beneficial for strength. That's not false.
right.
But like,
Yeah.
why do you need that
Yeah.
on a side lateral?
You said did a set of 20s for 11 and a half reps. I think you're recovered in 45 to 60 seconds. And if not, you're a fat piece of shit. Like literally do cardio, bro.
Yeah,
Even if that 11th and a half rep was crazy stupid failure, like you were shaking to get it up. if you can't go again in 60 seconds with that same set of 20s, man, something is wrong with the way your body is accustomed to pushing itself. And I'm not saying I've never experienced individuals who are like that, but you need to harden up, man. Like I'm sorry. Like I don't think in the last 6 years I've done a shoulder session that lasted more than 20 minutes. Like and listen, I've done tons of volume.
Ah,
I think through that reptile and Johnny Cage, you're probably like, what the fuck, Chris? Put the weights down and go home.
fair.
Yeah, yeah. So, oh man, yeah, shoulders, like you said, I'm glad you touched on the faster rest periods, right? Because speaking about chest and shoulders is a good segue for us. I've always felt like with my shoulder or chest pressing, I want to take a little bit longer rest breaks between my top set and back off, or between my heaviest sets. I don't mind taking 2 or 3 minutes there if I'm going to pick up some heavy ass dumbbells. But then once I get into my flying or cable crossovers, I'm going to speed that up, and then that's going to just go into shoulders, and it just
Yeah,
bam,
and
bam, bam.
that pace stays. That
Correct.
one's always really funny with me too, because it's just like, especially like if I start with like a press,
Mhm.
like exercise one's a press
Yeah.
of some sort. Like like if we're doing dumbbell, incline, I commonly do between the 150s and the 180s
Right.
weekly, right? Depending on how often I've been doing them.
Yeah.
You know, I am always picking up the fucking 50-pound dumbbells and doing a set. And
Right.
I don't, it's not going to be a fucking like warm up, and that's not, we want to call it a set.
Yeah.
But I am going to start there, you know? And that first thing, I am taking my fucking time. I'm probably
Yeah.
going to go 50, 80, 100, 120,
Yeah.
130,
Yeah.
150, and
Yeah.
just lowering the amount of reps I'm doing just so I touch all of those
Mhm.
and I feel ready to pick up the 150 or more.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not trying to like hurt myself. Like I could sit there and do that. I could probably do the 50s for 100 reps without really even fucking trying.
Yeah.
Like I'm doing like 12 to 50, 12 to 20, and
Yes.
just like waking myself up with that set.
Yeah.
I'm not getting fatigued with that. I'm not also, when I get to like the 120s and above,
Yeah.
I'm doing like 2 reps with them. I'm just putting them in place and making sure that groove is on,
Yes.
you know? And I think so many people don't realize like waking this up
Mm. Yeah.
is what sets up your entire workout.
Yes.
I see
Yes.
so many people trying to rush that process.
Mhm. Yeah.
They're like, "Oh, I'm going to do the 150s today. So I'm going to start with the hundreds
So,
completely as soon as I walk in the gym. I'm going to do a rear delt warm up, and then I'm going to grab the hundreds, and then I'm going to grab the 150s, and I'm going to go to it because I don't want to. And they never do as well as if they just did what I said, right?
mhm.
And it's like that learning to wake this up. I mean, there's times I've done like on leg days where like I've done hamstring curls, I've done adductor work,
Yeah.
I've done leg extensions, and then I have a leg press set. I'm still doing 3 to 4 warm ups.
Correct.
I am very fucking warm at that point. But am I mentally ready to have 12 plates on a leg press?
No. No.
And that one blows my mind.
Yep. You know what's really interesting is every other week I used to train at a gym that had the best incline barbell press because it had one of those self-spotting racks. So
Oh
the
yeah.
rack would come this way to where all you do is unrack it and you're just pressing, right? I loved it because I could routinely handle 315 on it with no one handing me weight. Because at that gym, I didn't trust anybody to hand it to me, first of all. But unless Chaz was there with me, I just don't like people handing me weight. If it was someone like you, but I don't train with you every week, like I wouldn't think twice about it. So every week I'd see a guy he'd bench right behind me because the incline was here and the flat was here. And he may have been 175 pounds. It was always come in, do what you just said here, arm circles, one plate for five, throw 2 plates on, and get crushed. Like, and the amount of restraint I had to have to not like, hey, bro, like, maybe if you did like bar 25, 45, 185, and then 225, how much better you'd feel and how many more reps you'd actually probably get with 225.
Mhm.
But he was one of those guys who walked around with a scowl on his face and didn't act like, he didn't want to be bothered. So that's not my place. I'm not his coach.
Yeah. I mean, I'm really lucky. We have a couple good power lifters at the at gyms I've always been at,
Mhm.
and we have a guy now currently at like Origin. His bench is 600,
Jesus Christ.
and it's funny because like it's I almost want to like videotape it and just be like, this guy probably benches more than you deadlift. He starts with the bar,
Yep. Yep.
you know, like he's not fucking worried about that. He's not doing that to you know. It probably doesn't even really warm him up,
No. No.
but he's definitely setting his intention for the day and
Yep.
getting that mind right
Yes.
to be able to do that work,
Correct.
and
Yep.
it's wild because people will be like, well, they'll completely disregard that. They'll be like, that's just him. And it's just like, it's pretty fucking wild because like every dude I've met who's strong, if they always start low.
Yep. Yep.
He's not starting his day off with, if he started his day off with 315, that's fucking light for him.
Right. Yes.
You know, I'm gonna guess he never wants to do that ever.
Yeah. Listen, you and I have both been very strong at incline barbell press. There has never been a day where I went one plate, two plate, three plates, ever. Not once. I've never done that. No, no, I've never done that. No. And that's even coming off of a dumbbell press or a machine press. Like, I always want to get a few reps of 225, 275, 315. Like,
Yeah.
I just want to feel that. And even on the days when I was going as heavy as, 265 for 6 to 8 reps, I was still feeling 315. Like you said,
Mhm.
it may have only been one or two reps, but unracking that, feeling that power and bar pop, that gave me confidence for 365. And that's the most I've never done above 365 on incline. But it's like you said, it's wiring the brain. And I think I know I've shared this with you. Like my buddy and I used to train with this power lifter, and that's what she told us is you make your set with the bar 80, 95 pounds, 135, you make that like your max effort. And
Mhm.
if you do that, by the time you do get to your max effort set, it's like the beginning, and the beginning's like the end. And then when your old end is now your warm up, she's like, that's when you're making progress. And she's like, but if you always sit back with 225 with the intention to press it for, as many reps as you can, you will have that ability when you get to 315, 405, 595. We'll fill in the blank. So
Mhm.
I think a lot of people miss that with chess because they think, oh, I got to get to that heavy weight as soon as possible. Well, like we were just mentioning with shoulders and rest periods, if I haven't trained my body to be resilient through handling a couple reps at heavy, moderately heavy weight, something's wrong with me. And I have to assess my training capacity. Like,
Yeah, like we're not saying do sets of 12 with every fucking thing. I'm not,
correct.
like I'm not saying do a set of 12 with the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 100, 110, 120, 130, 140, and then pick up the 150s.
Right.
That'd be fucking, 13 sets.
Right.
Like I'm
It's the
not
same.
saying that.
Yeah, right. It's like if you and I did a hard sets of, like, or we went into the intention of just destroying a leg press. We're not going to go in there and start with one plate and build one plate with sets of 10 to 12. Like that's just the first six are going to be useless. Like,
Mhm.
yes, it would 100% warm our hips up, but nine out of the 10, we're going to start with two or three on there. And we're going to add two or three plates per side until we find like, that feels good. Okay, now let's take it for the end. I have viewed chess that same way. In terms of setting up and structuring a chess day, I always lean into giving guys two incline pressing movements. Um, just that's a I would say just a kind of a standard in most of my training programs because that's what I believe most guys need. Um,
Honestly, for people who are new, it's going to be a dumbbell press,
right?
an incline press,
Yep,
and a machine press,
correct.
and then you're done.
Agreed.
You're not doing flies until I can see you have a chest in your shirt.
Right. Yeah. I've always, it's kind of that rule of like you need to be at the end of the dumbbell rack and three plates on a bench, and then we can add flies in. And if you're like, Chris, like I really want something to stretch my chest, we can do dips.
That
A
machine
machine
press is
machine
fucking
press or
years.
dips, yes.
If you don't feel a stretch on that, you are doing something fucking wrong.
Right?
Like,
You're doing this.
yeah,
Yes.
like,
Or even honestly, man, I don't know about you. I think the one I feel the most confident getting a stretch in is a dumbbell press. That's always felt
yeah,
incredible for me. Which is why I've always done back offs on dumbbell press, even when I was with John and we were doing high volume shit. So where he'd say, pyramid up to a hard set of 10 and say for 4 sets, I always took that 4 set as back off, even if
yeah,
he didn't write it, because I liked it. So, let's say my buddy and I were doing 130s for 3 sets of 10. I dropped down to 70s, 80s, maybe 90s, and like really hyper exaggerate, sitting that down on my chest, feeling that all open up and come up and really contracting my chest, right? Like,
mhm,
because that to me was almost more beneficial than doing another set with the 130s.
yeah.
Because I'm like, I've already tapped that button 3 times. Like, let's do it from a little different perspective. Was kind of how I've always looked at that. So, um, that's me being deviant from John's programming, by the way,
Yeah.
which I
One
openly
thing,
told him
like
about.
what you said about that too is like I've always like just preached this with pretty much everybody I've worked with. I whenever you like chest is such an easy route to get an extra half a rep
Mhm.
with that,
Yeah,
you know, making sure you end here. Other than like on a bench press where you have to rack it,
yeah, yeah,
but on a machine or dumbbell, if you end any set up here, you are losing out on this,
right, yeah,
and that like it's a half of a rep.
right,
What you should 100% be able to control down.
right, yeah,
I don't care if your body picked up the fucking weight on
yeah,
a machine press. You can definitely control it back down.
yes,
And owning that bottom end
yeah,
for that extra half a rep
right,
adds up so much over time.
mhm,
And I can't tell you the amount of people I've seen. They get their last rep on a dumbbell and then just dump it.
right,
Or just they don't control it down at all. They just kind of or they sit back up with it.
right, yeah,
Or on a we super common on like a machine press is they get to there and then just
right,
you know just dump it basically. They don't even control it down. They just, oh, I got it, cool, and then rack it. And those that little bit of intent like goes a long way because I mean, if you do, you know, 8 sets a week total of chest, and you get an extra half a rep with one, that's 4 extra reps every fucking time you train chest.
yeah, yeah.
And then at the end of the year, that's 200 reps what someone didn't get.
I can tell you this. I learned that from you, right? Like legit, and that's by watching your videos. So, because I was very much like you, where on the machine press, I would do that all day. If I had a spot, help me up, 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 and then I can just control that, sit in the stretch, and then dump my hands, right? But on a dumbbell press, let's say I hit 8 on my own and got 2 forced, the force I'm going to end here, I would just turn, jump them, sit them on my lap. What you would do is, even if Zach helped you on 2 force reps, you would, when he removed his hands, you control it negative down, sit in that stretch, and then dump from there. And if you haven't ever tried that, do it. It's way harder. So, chest, yeah. So, what you just said there, I think was huge with 2 free weight press, 1 machine press if you're intermediate or novice. Incredible. Like and you can do it all types of ways. You could do 12, 10, 8 for each of those. You could do top set and a back off. You could do the first exercise top set and back off, then go volume and then do an intensity. So, like, let's say I did dumbbell press, incline, slight incline, and did a top set and a back off. On the incline barbell press, you say get up to a hard 10-ish and do that for 3 sets. And then on your machine press, you do a rest pulse. Like,
Mhm.
good Lord, you talking about crushing your chest. Like, that to me is absolutely incredible. And then once you begin to advance, like, then we throw a fly in there. And the fly can be at any spot. It could be at the end, it could be at the beginning, or it could be in the middle. Like, I'm not married to where a fly goes within your training session for pecs. But what I am a slave to is you have to really lean into the stretch. And then if you're missing the contraction on that, it's pointless. Like, because at the end of the day, if I'm not contracting my chest through an arced range, why wouldn't I just do another press? Like,
Yeah.
and maybe that's because it's like I'm a dumb athlete at heart. Like, well, my football coach used to say, "Why are you going to do dumbbell flies when you can press?" And that always kind of stuck in my head. Now I like, don't get that twisted. I do like a stretching fly motion, but I also, and you know this, is like I love stretch push-ups. Like, what an incredible way to finish a chest workout is doing like high cable crossovers supersetted with either chain or banded stretch push-ups. My word, you talking about blowing your chest up. That always crushes me 100 times out of 100. So, you have any other chest exercises that you like to do that if guys and girls out there are struggling to fill their chest that you recommend?
The honestly, my favorite thing I've ever done was when the programs where John had reverse band bench, like incline,
Yep. Yep.
and it's one of those ones where it's like maybe a little bit of an ego thing because you're gonna have a little bit more weight than you normally do on it,
Gonna be fun. Yes.
but like it teaches you to stay to be able to push.
Yes. Yep.
Like I mean, that is such a learned skill. Like being able to push when it gets hard.
Mhm. Yep.
So many like in every movement, everybody loves just fucking. Oh, that's failure. The second they hit a resistance of where their body actually has to fuck, they're not just blasting through.
Right.
But like the last couple reps where that starts slowing down, so many people just give up there.
Yes.
And that in having that band where it's gonna get fucking harder as you
Mhm.
go further up because there's less band tension.
Yes. Yes.
It changes that in your head because you come to expect it,
Yes. Yep.
and getting. I mean, that was like probably the first time I did 405 was with bands, so I was basically doing whatever 295
Right.
because of fucking those orange bands or whatever it is. But it's 400 pounds at the top,
Correct. Yeah.
so you're gonna have to fucking figure that out quick.
Yes. Yep. That exercise I love. I'm very much with you. Like, because when you unrack it, you're like, fuck me.
Yeah,
And then like with each passing inch down, you're like gaining around in my mind, I'm always gaining confidence. Like,
yeah,
oh fuck yeah,
super
I got
confident. Yeah,
this. I got this. And then like you said, you hear it again, and you're like, oh, motherfucker, you better work.
yeah,
So yeah, I think so. I'm going to give the opposite of that. I actually like if you're struggling to fill chest and like really tap into explosive power against the bands on a hammer strength. Like
yeah. Oh yeah, it's that
it's the same
same
principle.
exact concept.
Correct. Correct. You know, but with a machine, you're starting here. You're starting in the lightest, and you're okay. This is hardest, miserable. So with that, what I like is the safety of it in terms of you're not going to get injured on it.
Yeah, don't do the incline without a partner.
Correct. Yes. Correct. Correct.
I think I have a video somewhere on there where I think I sent Brett to Brad forever ago,
Uh,
but I went for another rep and I just was like here and I was holding that for and I ended up just like I was in a rack, so it didn't kill me or anything, but
right.
like I was there for like 15 seconds, just fucking dying, It's just like I was this far away from the rack point,
Oh, yeah. And
It's like setting that down is just like fuck.
right, right. Because the scary thing with the incline is you have to go back. So
Yeah.
if I miss that rack, motherfucker, it's coming down on my head. Like not great. So yeah, 100%. Like get the bands to me, John taught us and brought that to bodybuilding in my mind. Like no different than chains. Like I like chains too. Most people aren't going to just have access and be able to
Yeah.
do those regularly,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Um, but those exercises to me have always been really clutch for that. I think the thing we finish with here is, I think we've all seen videos of Branch doing dips with chains around his neck. That dips are, to me, an often forgotten exercise for chest
Yeah.
that always worked really well for me for getting good stretch and then like feeling my lower and outer pecs work and contract. And then pairing that with conjunction with a pec minor dip, which is, I realize that's very, very nuanced. And if you're watching this looking to get chest growing knowledge, that exercise isn't for you yet. But when you get to the later edges of your like intermediate to beginning advanced, like I do like to incorporate pec minor dips to add projection to the chest from the side. Um, Creeping Death 1 has secondary chest days where you superset every chest exercise with pec minor dips. Still to the day, like one of my favorite like workout routines. So a little throwback to one of John's programs there. But I think as a whole, to finish this, I'm gonna offer some advice. I need you all to ignore the really smart people on the internet who are doing these fancy, crazy chest exercises where they're sitting sideways in machines and strapping shit to them and using seat belts. Like the biggest chests I've ever seen, press the heaviest barbells and dumbbells and do it for a decade.
Damn. And there's a guy here in Utah, and he commonly, is bench pressing and incline pressing, 4 or 5 plates. And he does pretty much nothing other than that for chest. And he has the best chest I have seen in person,
Right. Yes.
and it's just like that should, sometimes you scale things back and you're like, you know, it makes fucking sense.
Right.
I have yet to see someone who has grown their chest by doing something cute,
Yes.
you
Yeah.
know, but I have seen a lot of really fucking small dudes doing cute shit with chest,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know. I mean, it's one of those things that's just like sometimes having the ability to look at what you're like other people are doing.
Mhm.
Like for me, my triceps for a long time were a weak point.
Yeah. Right.
And I was paying attention to the wrong things, and I was really just focused on like getting a fucking huge pump, and it dawned on me. I was like, I have yet to see a power lifter with small triceps.
Right.
And the thing with blue, like I was looking at like, all right, what do power lifters do? They're bench pressing a lot. They're close grip benching a lot. They're
Yep.
doing, rack pin presses. They're doing those, and their accessories for triceps are, they're not doing these single arm cable push downs.
No.
They're definitely not fucking using a seat belt and just fucking, pulling that down, or using their tricep on the rack for some intricate fucking overhead thing. Like,
Yeah. Yep.
and all of them have big fucking triceps, and it's like, oh, that's what I need to do, and just give that a go around. I got better. I remember doing pin presses with 315 and being like, holy fuck, you know
Yep.
and it's just like all of that was my triceps. I was like, all right, cool, how can I lean into that more?
Yeah. Yeah.
And now my triceps are decent.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. I think the only thing we didn't talk about here was a Smith machine. Uh,
Yeah.
I also like Smith machine. I know you're a big fan of Smith machine pressing. I like it for all three. I like it slight decline. I like flat, slight incline, steep incline. I like it all. Like Smith
Yeah.
machine always felt good to me.
Yeah.
Um, so if you don't feel safe doing barbell pressing, if you train alone, listen, lean into that Smith machine, set the safety stops up to where you can get out of it
Yeah.
and just move a lot of fucking weight, man. Like
Yeah.
6 to 10, 6 to 12 rep range. Like the chest is one of those exercises where, or one of those body parts on the pressing that I don't mind taking as low as 6 reps if you can control it and not hurt yourself, right? Like
Yeah.
I think that's why I always leaned into the dumbbell pressing is because I'm always thought like if I just miss, I just throw them down, right? Like it's not a big deal. I never feared dumbbell press. A bar when you're going for that extra rep, that can get inside of my head if I don't have a good spotter that I trust,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
And the only thing about dumbbells is that they're at some point they get really big pain in the ass to lean back with.
correct.
You
Yeah,
know, it's like that, I actually laugh at that because there's so many times I'm like, I'm not even worried about pressing this. I'm just rolling, worried about fucking leaning back with this shit.
right. Yeah, yeah, catching that way. That is the scariest part. You're right. Getting into before rep one, and if I can just get to here, I'm like, okay, thank God, that's over.
Yeah.
Now we can press and have fun with it. But yeah, you're right. That is the singular downside of dumbbell pressing. Heavy is like that, and what I always hated is if you couldn't get a bench towards the heavy side of the dumbbells, and you had to like farmer carry every fucking time, or then roll the dumbbells and then deadlift them up.
Yeah.
More things that are, can be a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Which is why I like Elite because no one's usually ever there when I'm there, and you can always put the dumbbell or the rack right in front of like I can just sit down in front of the fucking weight and pick it up. Which is nice. So chest and shoulders. We'll hit legs next week and then do arms the following week. So if you
Yeah.
guys are enjoying this series, for Dave and I on how to grow muscle to the best of your ability. Thanks for watching. Until next time, we are done, guys.